Soldados rusos avanzan bajo un fuego intenso en el este de Ucrania. Este video de la televisión militar rusa dice que muestra a soldados ucranianos teniendo que rendirse. Los obuses ucranianos a menudo no pueden apoyar a sus unidades de primera línea, ya que carecen seriamente de proyectiles de artillería de 155 milímetros. Por ahora esperan que eso cambie. Nos defenderemos y contraatacaremos. Los medios de comunicación controlados por el Kremlin se mostraron furiosos después de que la Cámara de Representantes aprobara el proyecto de ley de asistencia a Ucrania. Al mismo tiempo, elogiaron a la representante republicana Marjorie Taylor Greene por tratar de descarrilarlo.
La congresista Marjorie Taylor Greene, a quien el New York Post ya vistió con un sombrero uchanka con una estrella, colocándola oficialmente en las filas de los agentes del Kremlin, calificó al presidente de la Cámara Johnson como un demócrata elegido por Ucrania. Greene también dijo que Johnson traicionó no solo a los republicanos, sino a todo Estados Unidos. Sin embargo, la ayuda militar de Estados Unidos será mayor este año en comparación con los años anteriores. Y, por supuesto, no hay nada bueno en ello.
El ministro de Relaciones Exteriores de Rusia fue aún más lejos, amenazando con una confrontación nuclear. Occidente se tambalea peligrosamente al borde de un choque militar directo entre potencias nucleares, cargado de consecuencias catastróficas. La troika de los estados nucleares occidentales se encuentra entre los principales patrocinadores del régimen criminal de Kiev. Ucrania necesita desesperadamente mucha munición de artillería, dice Kiev, ya que está muy superada en armamento por las fuerzas de Vladimir Putin. Pero también necesita misiles de defensa aérea, ya que Rusia está intensificando drásticamente su campaña de ataques con misiles y drones contra ciudades y centrales eléctricas ucranianas. El presidente de Ucrania dice que está agradecido por la ayuda, pero que las armas deben llegar rápido. El tiempo que transcurre entre las decisiones políticas y la derrota real del enemigo en el frente, entre la aprobación del paquete de ayuda y el suministro a nuestros muchachos, debe reducirse al mínimo. Los ucranianos esperan que la ayuda estadounidense llegue rápidamente y cambie el tono en el campo de batalla y que permita a las fuerzas de Kiev detener nuevos avances rusos. Fred Playton, CNN, Kiev.
Unlike the Senate's blank check, the House legislation has a number of very important features. It provides for greater accountability over Ukraine aid. It forces an endgame strategy for the Ukraine war. It includes a loan instrument of this foreign aid to Ukraine and the Repo Act to ensure that Russian assets pay for part of the bill. And unlike the Senate's bill, the loan system itself is a House innovation and allows for much needed insight. Now remember that 80% of the Ukraine funding will go to the replenishment of American weapons and stocks and our facilities and our operations. It also includes tough measures and sanctions on Iran and Russia and China, which most of the American people understand is a necessity and a very important thing. Our process in the end ensured that each member was able to consider the individual supplemental elements on their own merits, which is exactly how the House is supposed to work. I know there are critics of the legislation. I understand that. It is not a perfect piece of legislation. We're not ensured that in a time of divided government and in a time where there are lots of different opinions. But there is no question whatsoever that the House has made many strong improvements to the Senate bill, and the product that we've sent over there is much better. This package, I will note, because it's very important, also includes national security priorities, and many of them, but it is the only way that we could have gotten Democrats to support aid to Israel, and that's a fact. There is a lot of misinformation out there about the bill, and I just want to make one point about one issue that has been drawn a lot of attention, and that is, could any of this funding go to Hamas or to terrorist organizations or what have you? And we put safeguards in the legislation to ensure that UNRWA is not funded, the UN agency that included terrorists who participated in the October 7th attack on Israel. We've also have language that prevents it from going, any of the funding going to Hamas or any other bad actors. That's a very important element of oversight. Congress takes the oversight very seriously, and we will continue to keep an eye on every dollar that we are using and investing at this time. I've said it very simply. I'll say it once again. It's an old military adage, but we would rather send bullets to the conflict overseas than our own boys, our troops. And I think this is an important moment, an important opportunity to make that decision. We allowed the House to do that, and I expect the Senate will make the same decision.
Well, this is what Ukraine's front lines looked like last October, around the time President Biden made this impassioned appeal to Congress for more aid.
When dictators don't pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos and death and more destruction.
Well, this time-lapse shows how we got there. The first year of the war bringing 3 successful counteroffensives, the Kyiv region, then eventually we see in the Kharkiv region here, and then down in Kherson. The second year, though, very different. Territorial gains or losses grinding almost to a halt. Then from October last year, if we go back there, and you see the months go by, if we zoom in on this crucial area of the Eastern Front, things start to gradually change. The Russian advance begins, and then by the middle of February, Ukraine had to withdraw from the town of Avdiivka, a town that had resisted for the best part of a decade. And the Russian advance didn't stop there. Well, if the red-shaded area is Russian-occupied territory, you can see that by the end of March, Russia had taken a few more villages down here. Tiny amounts of territory, but signaling an unstable front line. And now the advance continues towards Ocheretina up here and Novokalinovo. Again, just villages, but critical higher ground and more potential Russian progress. And it's not just there that Russia is attacking. Down in the south, it's fighting to regain villages like Rabotina that Ukraine took back last year, and Ukraine's second city of Kharkiv is under relentless attacks.
We need to move back the line from which they can hit us. As I understand it, Kharkiv plays an important role here.
Putin must be brought down to earth, and our sky must become safe again.
And remember Bakhmut, Russia's only significant victory of last year. Well, it's now redoubled its efforts to advance west of there and take the town of Chasiv Yar. That would be a huge blow for Ukraine, opening up critical routes to towns like Kramatorsk in the north and Kostiantinovka, and giving Russia more higher ground to fire on those military hubs. Well, the bottom line, Ukraine believes a major Russian offensive may be coming as soon as May. So new US aid can't reach these front lines soon enough. Claire Sebastian, CNN, London.
El presidente de Ucrania, Volodymyr Zelensky, afirmó que Ucrania se quedó sin misiles para frustrar el ataque ruso que destruyó la planta de energía más grande en la región de Kyiv la semana pasada. En este sentido, Zelensky cuestionó que Israel esté disfrutando de un amplio apoyo por parte de los miembros de la OTAN, a pesar de no ser un miembro de la alianza. Dijo que Israel no podía defenderse por sí solo contra un ataque tan numeroso y poderoso, pero que utilizaron la defensa aérea y la aviación que Ucrania carece. Escuchemos.
¿Es Israel parte de la OTAN o no? Aquí está la respuesta. Israel no es un país de la OTAN. Los aliados de la OTAN, incluidos los países de la alianza, han estado defendiendo a Israel. Mostraron a las fuerzas iraníes que Israel no estaba solo. Y esto es una lección.